Before we dive into this powerful story, do us one favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell for Jeff News. That's step number one if you care about truth. Accountability and bold storytelling the mainstream won't touch. If you want real stories told without compromise, you're in the right place. When family becomes an idol, you open the door to the enemy. That was the chilling warning spoken during a broadcast that now feels prophetic. The question is, who was that warning really for? Was it intended for the audience watching quietly from home, or was it, intentionally or not, aimed at someone seated in the very room, someone whose actions ended up reflecting that truth all too clearly? Critics believe the message struck closer to home than anyone realized. They point to Joanie Lamb. Her devotion to Doug Weiss wasn't just passionate, it was consuming, and the consequences were seismic. She publicly praised Doug as a blessing and her favorite person. She smiled on air, beamed in interviews, and appeared to be the happiest she had ever been. But behind that picture-perfect image was a growing storm. It wasn't just about falling in love, it became about controlling the narrative at all costs. Even if it meant alienating those closest to her. Even if it meant cutting off her own son. Jonathan Lamb, visibly torn, expressed heartfelt concerns. He wasn't disrespectful. He didn't slander. He simply shared his truth with the woman who raised him, a woman he loved deeply. He wrote her a touching letter after a tense meeting, urging her one last time not to go through with a marriage he didn't believe was led by God. "Mom," he said, "I love you with everything I've got, but I cannot walk you down the aisle for this. I can't endorse what I believe is a mistake." That letter wasn't to the end of the conversation. It was the end of their relationship as mother and son within ministry. Joni responded not with dialogue, but with a decision. Jonathan was fired. Yes, fired. Not for misconduct, not for rebellion, but for voicing a loving concern. For not being willing to fake support, for choosing conviction over compliance. And Joni's demands didn't stop with her son. The unspoken rule was clear. If you were going to be part of her world, you had to support her marriage. You had to be willing to talk about Doug, read prepared statements, share flattering comments, smile on camera. And if you couldn't, well, then you weren't welcome. If you can't say something nice about Doug, you don't need to be here. Those were the terms. Submit or step aside. But let's be honest, that's not leadership. That's not love. That's not accountability. That's control. And in the eyes of many, it marked the moment when Daystar, a once powerful voice in Christian broadcasting, transformed from a ministry into a machine. A place where loyalty was measured not by truth, but by silence. Where your job security hinged on your ability to go along with the narrative, even if your spirit disagreed. Some saw it and stayed silent. Others saw it and left. But for those who stayed, the pressure to comply was crushing. Rebecca, Joni's daughter-in-law, had once been outspoken. Together with her husband, she helped uncover deep, disturbing truths about what was happening behind the polished image Daystar worked so hard to maintain. But eventually, even she grew quiet. Her social media fell silent. Her voice, once filled with boldness, vanished from public spaces. Why? Insiders say it wasn't peace that kept her quiet. It was pressure, protecting her standing, preserving access, avoiding fallout. And it wasn't just Rebecca. Everyone around Joni was expected to fall in line or fall away. Because that's how idol systems work. They require silence. They demand sacrifice. And if family, marriage, or a ministry becomes more important than obedience to God, that's no longer love. That's idolatry. This point was driven home even more when a guest on Daystar said something that stopped everyone in their tracks. If the church is going to fight for family, then family cannot be an idol. An idol is anything you rely on to make you happy. Those words pierced the air, and many couldn't help but wonder, was God sending Joni a personal message through that very broadcast? Because she didn't just idolize marriage. She idolized her public image. She idolized the ministry. She idolized control, and she demanded that everyone else do the same. She turned Daystar into a system of unspoken compliance. The rules were simple. Don't question her decisions. Don't challenge her authority. Don't resist the narrative. And if you do, you're out. You either read the next viewer comment about Doug, or you don't come back tomorrow. That's not a quote from a CEO in a boardroom. That's from a ministry leader to her team. And let's be clear, this wasn't about theological disagreement. It was about institutionalized idolatry. This was the language of manipulation, not ministry. Joni's control over the platform reached into every corner of Daystar. From what was said on air to how her image was presented, who could stay on the payroll, every part of it was shaped around a single, unmovable expectation: loyalty to her decisions. Even if it meant silencing truth, even if it meant cutting off her son, even if it meant alienating anyone who couldn't lie. So we asked the question that so many others are quietly asking from the shadows. Was it worth it? The loss? The damage? The betrayal of values Daystar once claimed to uphold. Was it really worth it, Joni? How happy are you now? Because true joy doesn't come from manufactured approval or curated loyalty. It doesn't come from forcing others to smile while they silently ache. It comes from truth, from transparency, from freedom. And if we serious about confronting idolatry in the church, if we serious about fighting for righteousness, we have to be willing to name the real idols. Even if the idol is a person, even if the idol is a ministry, even if the idol is called family. Because God doesn't share his throne. Not with Doug, not with Joni, not with Daystar. If this story matters to you, if you believe in truth, integrity, and speaking up when it's uncomfortable, then this is your moment. Subscribe to Jeff News right now. That's step number 1. Turn on notifications. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Let them know the truth still matters, that not everyone bows to silence. This is more than content. This is a calling. And together we are not afraid to speak. Let's shine the light together.